Here are the 10 best moments you just can't afford to miss. Once we got to see a parody of Harry Potter on a show. One day, Billy and Mandy were super grumpy about their school trip because they were being stuck in some lame club. But then Grim appeared and promised to take them on a special trip. Next thing you know, they all ended up at Summer School of Sorcery, which was basically a parody of Harry Potter School. Here, instead of Dumbledore, we met his parody version, Toadbloat, who was deciding which of the three would join which club. So Grim gets appointed as a teacher, and Billy and Mandy get thrown into the worst club in the school. And this is where Billy and Mandy meet their own version of Harry Potter. Now, this parody version of Harry Potter, Toadbloat, starts plotting to annoy everyone, and Billy and Mandy decide to join in. After a bit of trouble, they finally manage to bug Toadbloat. But of course, the parody Harry Potter character takes all the credit for himself. Mandy, not one to let this slide, uses her wicked smarts to trap him in front of Toadbloat. No doubt about it, this entire episode was a full-on Harry Potter parody, and trust me, you don't want to miss it. What happened to Mandy in the future? One day, Billy and Mandy were feeling bored, and just as they were about to sink into a pit of despair, Grim shows up with a plan to cure their boredom by showing them their future. In this future, Grim had become the servant of an evil person. And who was that evil person? None other than Mandy herself, though she looked like a worm. When Billy is brought into the future, Mandy reveals that she has taken over the entire world. But of course, she doesn't stop there. She decides to take Billy on a little sightseeing tour of her new empire and casually shares her one weakness. She's terrified of frogs. Meanwhile, Grim, fed up with Mandy's rules, forms a group to take her down. Thanks to Billy's usual antics, they figure out Mandy's weakness and rush to take her out. But plot twist, it turns out that the whole thing was just Mandy's clever plan to lure out the hidden rebels who were trying to take her down. There was this one time when Billy's attempt at being evil totally backfired on him. One day, Billy stumbled upon Grimm's underworld magic book and, being Billy, decided to sneakily start reading it. Next thing you know, he's suddenly an evil magician and starts wreaking havoc on everything in his path. Classic Billy move, right? Meanwhile, Mandy, being Mandy, was like, all right, enough of this nonsense, and summoned Hosh to the scene. But instead of focusing on Billy, Hosh decided to start messing with Grim instead. Way to miss the point, Hosh. When Hosh finally realized that Billy, not Grim, was the real threat, he teamed up with everyone to stop Billy's evil antics. Meanwhile, Billy was using his newfound magic to open an underworld portal and cause more chaos. But just as Billy was about to make things even worse, Mandy swoops in and steals the magic book. Plot twist. In order to fix everything, they had to close the portal. But the only way to close it was by sending Billy into it. So guess what? Mandy, ever the pragmatist, sacrifices Billy to restore normalcy. But don't worry, Billy didn't stay in the underworld for long. The underworld residents, realizing they couldn't handle his stupidity, sent him back to the real world. And just like that, everything went back to normal. Once we got to watch a parody of Pokemon on a show. One day, Billy and Erwin were playing a game with Hokemon cards, which by the way, looked exactly like Pokemon cards. Then Grim swoops in and decides to make the game more interesting by casting magic on the cards. Now, thanks to Grim, real monsters could pop out of the cards, but his little stunt had a side effect. The whole town started playing the game, and everyone was upgrading their cards with Grim's magic. Before long, the entire town was in the midst of a Hokemon apocalypse, and no one was safe. That's when Mandy, seeing all the chaos, demanded Grim cast magic on her card too. But Mandy's monster? Oh, it was a beast compared to the rest. In the blink of an eye, she uses her monster to wipe out all the others. And just like that, we got to see the best Pokemon parody ever. One day, Billy saw his bully classmate, Spurg, picking on his friend Erwin. So being the brave soul he is, or maybe just trying to avoid more embarrassment, Billy decided to confront Spurg, but predictably, he got nervous and his pants almost fell down. Classic Billy move. But then, seeing Spurg escalate his bullying antics, Billy decided to bring in the big guns, Grim. But plot twist, Spurg turned the tables and started bullying Grim instead. At this point, Billy was probably just hoping the ground would swallow him whole. Things took a turn when Spurg came face to face with Mandy. He saw her, screamed, and ran off crying. Billy thought, hey, that's my chance. And in an attempt to be the bigger person, he extended the hand of friendship to Spurg. Now, their friendship actually went decently for a while, until Spurg eventually started bullying Billy again. Mandy actually fell in love once during the entire show. One day, Mandy met Billy's new friend, and this guy was so cool that she instantly fell into one-sided love. With no other option but to escape from this overwhelming feeling, Mandy ran straight to the doctor, only to find out that she had been struck by the terrifying disease called love. So she did the only logical thing, went straight to Grim and demanded a cure. Now Grim had full creative freedom to treat Mandy however he wanted. And what did he do? He gave her a complete makeover. A while later, Mandy, now looking extra fancy, marched up to the cool dude. And guess what? The moment he saw her, he fell for her too. But instead of confessing her love, Mandy did what Mandy does best. She completely rejected him and sent him running. Why? Because she wanted revenge. She made him fall for her just so she could crush his heart and satisfy her ego. One day, Mandy was obsessed with Kung Fu, so she decided to enter a competition. She first asked Grim for help, but he instantly refused. Annoyed, Mandy stormed off. But luck was on her side. A mysterious shopkeeper was willing to help her. The competition began, and Mandy dominated the arena, throwing out every opponent one by one. However, Grim sensed something fishy. It didn't take him long to discover that Mandy's sudden power boost was due to her enemy, Eris. Instead of stopping Eris, Grimm decided to join her and bring some chaos himself. Meanwhile, Mandy was eagerly waiting for her next challenger. That's when Grimm, in a mischievous move, pulled Billy away from his video game and sent him into the arena. A fierce battle began between the two. During the fight, Mandy unleashed her energy aura just like Goku from Dragon Ball. The result? The entire world was completely destroyed. But on the bright side, Mandy still received her full prize for winning the competition. One day, Grimm had a high fever, and seeing his condition, Mandy felt sorry for him. Without wasting a moment, she started searching for a cure. Soon, she discovered that the only way to heal Grimm was to take him to the underworld hospital. Despite Grimm's repeated refusals, Mandy dragged him there. Things took a wild turn when everyone in the hospital saw Grimm's fever and ran away in fear. The situation escalated when the doctors immediately rushed him to the operation theater. After hours of struggle, the doctors finally broke some shocking news. Grimm was no longer a skeleton. He had turned into a living human. Feeling miserable, Grimm returned to the normal world. At first, he was upset about his new life. But when he noticed that girls were now impressed by him, he decided to embrace his human form happily. However, there was a serious downside. Grimm was no longer a Grim Reaper, nor could he use his magic anymore. Sometime later, Billy's mother started treating Grimm like her own child, which angered Billy's father. Unable to tolerate it, he knocked Grimm out with a powerful punch. At that moment, Grimm finally realized that he was better off as a skeleton. Fortunately for him, his wish came true when an infected green slime covered his body, turning him back into a bone-chilling Grim Reaper once again. Did you know? Billy learned the hard way why you should always get your eyes checked. One day, Billy stared at the sun for so long that his eyes practically exploded into fireballs. Later, he stumbled into the canteen, but instead of grabbing food, he picked up trash to eat. That's when Mandy realized Billy's eye battery had officially run out. To test his vision, Mandy asked him to count her fingers, but Billy got it wrong every time. So she insisted he see a doctor. Billy refused, but Mandy, well, let's just say she gently encouraged him by force. At the clinic, things took a weird turn. The doctor, instead of fixing Billy's eyes, somehow ended up destroying his own. In sheer panic, Billy bolted home, and that's when Grimm had to step in to fix the mess. Grimm worked his magic, and Billy's eyesight improved, sort of. Now he could see into the future. At school, he had a terrifying vision. Mandy's head getting chopped off. Naturally, he freaked out, only to later discover Mandy had just been practicing with a guillotine. You know, normal hobbies. Despite this, Billy remained terrified of medical treatment and kept running away. Fed up, Grimm finally caught him and cast another spell on his eyes. This time, instead of fixing them, Billy's eyes started looking weirdly realistic, like actual human eyes. This moment was hands down one of the creepiest episodes in cartoon history. One day, Billy was bored out of his mind, so he decided to hang out with Mandy and Grimm. But of course, they were too busy with their own stuff, leaving Billy feeling a little lonely and setting off on a quest to find a new friend. And just when you think things couldn't get weirder, Billy bumps into a brain-eating alien monster who's eager to make him his bestie. But here's the catch. This alien has one condition. Billy has to help him feed on human brains. And surprise, surprise, Billy, being the genius that he is, starts dancing to the alien's tune. He even tricks countless people into coming to the alien's lair, where they get their brains devoured. But wait, there's more. Billy eventually tries to pull the same stunt with Mandy. However, this time the alien's plan backfires. While the alien does manage to eat Mandy's brain, it couldn't handle her sharp mind, and soon enough, Mandy takes full control of the alien. And here's the plot twist. Now Mandy is the one telling Billy to bring her more human brains. And of course, Billy, being Billy, just nods along like a loyal little minion. Because who wouldn't trust Mandy with an alien army, right? Did you know? Let me tell you how Eris, the goddess of discord, made her grand entrance. One day, Grimm, Billy, and Mandy were hanging out at the mall when they bumped into Eris, who was already causing chaos, as usual. When Mandy and Eris met, they instantly bonded over their shared love of destruction. It was like a match made in chaotic heaven. But of course, things took a turn. Eris, realizing that Mandy might actually be more destructive than her, decided to publicly humiliate Mandy and ended their little friendship. Classic Eris, right? Mandy wasn't having any of that. She decided to get revenge. She discovered Eris's weakness, her thing for bodybuilders. Yep, that was her soft spot. And when Mandy found out that Eris had a crush on a guy, she schemed up a plan. Mandy set up a date for them, thinking this would be her perfect revenge. But here's the kicker. Mandy didn't just stop at the date. She sent Eris to kiss the guy, only for the guy to turn out to be none other than Grimm himself. Oops. That's how Mandy got her sweet, sweet revenge. And that's when Eris decided that from that point on, she was going to make Mandy's life a living nightmare in the upcoming episodes. Did you know? Grimm already knew he'd be Billy and Mandy's slave, but still couldn't save himself. As a child, Grimm was more interested in singing than reaping. But neither his father nor his mother liked it. In the end, burdened by expectations, he had to become the Grim Reaper. His first job was taking the soul of a caveman who got crushed under a wheel. That was the first time he sent a soul to the underworld. He kept doing this for days until he met an old woman who prophesied his future. One day, he would become a slave to two kids. Those kids were Billy and Mandy. But Grim didn't take it seriously and forgot about it. Unknowingly, he walked right into his fate, eventually becoming Billy and Mandy's slave. One day, Mandy was so upset by Mindy's words that she decided to become cute herself. Determined, she went straight to Grim for help. But instead of helping her, Grim burst into laughter at her decision. However, seeing the never-ending rivalry between Mandy and Mindy, Grim finally agreed to assist her. He took her to a special makeup artist. But the twist? The artist herself needed a makeover. Grim, though, knew better than to underestimate her. So Mandy carefully listened to what the artist had to say. The first rule of looking cute? Smiling. Now, this was Mandy's ultimate weakness. But despite the challenge, she agreed to smile on stage. At first, she was incredibly nervous, struggling to force a grin. But with Grim's subtle signals from the sidelines, she finally managed to pull it off. And the moment she smiled, everyone was instantly mesmerized by her beauty. Suddenly, a blinding white light flashes across the screen, engulfing everything. When the light fades, we see a Powerpuff Girls parody unfold. Now our three characters are fully transformed, suited up like the Powerpuff Girls, ready to take on the world. Did you know? Once Mandy went so crazy that she ended up kissing her own mom. One night, Billy was watching a horror TV show where a ghost had possessed a man. Instead of just getting scared like a normal person, he had a brilliant idea. He wondered if Grim could use his magic to transfer a soul from one body to another. Grim, always eager to show off, decided to try it out on a cat, and surprisingly, it worked. Seeing this, Billy got excited and attempted to jump into his dad's mind. Naturally, he failed, but when he tried the same trick on Mandy, it actually worked. Now trapped inside Mandy's body, Billy wasted no time creating absolute chaos. He ran around acting completely out of character, embarrassed Mandy in public, mistakenly walked into the boys' washroom instead of the girls', and, for some reason, even kissed Mandy's mom. As expected, Mandy's reputation took a serious hit, all thanks to Billy's nonsense. But Billy was too busy enjoying himself to care. Later that night, after the magic had worn off, he was all set for a peaceful sleep. But just when he thought it was all over, his cat appeared in front of him. Except it wasn't really a cat. It was Mandy, who had just pulled the same soul-swapping trick on him. And let's just say Billy had no idea what was coming next.